Every sound that you've ever trained your ear against was already wrong before it ever reached you. And I'm going to explain why today. You've been training your ear against something that was never stable to begin with. And I don't mean you chose the wrong exercise or the wrong app or the wrong method. All of those are probably okay. I mean the thing you were listening to. The actual sound in the room, it was never a fixed target. It was always moving, and nobody told you that. Here's a core problem. Sound, as you experience it in the real world, is shaped by at least four things you cannot control. The first is your acoustic environment. The room you're in right now is coloring every frequency that you hear. The walls, the ceiling, the furniture, the carpet, or lack of it, all of it is filtering what reaches your ear. The second thing is your instrument. No instrument produces the same tone twice. Temperature changes the tuning, humidity changes the reed, your embouchure, your bow pressure, your touch. None of this is identical from one moment to the next. Your body also plays a role. Your ears fatigue. You get congested. Your attention drifts. Stress, sleep, hydration. All of these actually alter what your auditory system delivers to your brain. And fourth, if you're listening to a recording, what you're hearing has already been shaped by an engineer. EQ, compression, reverb, mixing decisions, YouTube. That's not the original sound. It's a representation of it. Let me put this more concretely. There are at least 6 categories of variables sitting between you and any sound that you hear. Room acoustics is a big one. Every space has its own resonance profile. Your instrument condition, the age, the maintenance, the temperature, the humidity, all of these things can affect the tone and the quality of the tone coming out. Your own physiology. If you're fatigued, you have congestion, you're having attention issues, all of these things can alter your perception and create issues in the way you perceive things. The playback equipment, your speakers, your headphones, all of it colors the signal differently. And if you're using noise cancellation headphones, you're really modifying the sound. I highly recommend no noise canceling headphones while doing ear training. It's going to change what you're hearing. The performance context, the balance of an ensemble, the dynamics of a live situation. These are never the same twice. And environmental noise, right? Background sound is making frequencies you don't even realize you're missing. The walls could be creating frequencies that aren't actually there in the actual note. None of these are within your control, and yet every one of them is shaping the thing you're trying to use as your reference. It's a problem that needs to be fixed. So what happens when your ear is anchored to something that moves? It's a cascade. At first, you anchor to the external sound. This is correct. That's what you were taught to do. Listen carefully, match the pitch, identify the interval. Your ear grabs whatever it last heard and uses that as the reference point. Step 2. The reference shifts and you don't notice. The room changes, the instrument changes, your body changes, but you're still treating the incoming sound as though it's fixed. It's a moving target at this point. Then your judgments become inconsistent. What sounded like a major third yesterday doesn't quite sound the same today. You start second guessing yourself. And this leads you to step 4. You blame yourself instead of the model. You assume your ear is the problem. You think you need more practice, more drills, more repetition. That's what we all think. I'm going to complete this lesson until I perfect it, right? So many of you have done this. But your ear was doing exactly what it was trained to do. It was anchored to something that was unstable to begin with. And when you're anchoring to something unstable, you can't fix it. So here's what this looks like side by side. When your ear is anchored to sound, to the external signal, your reference shifts with every room. Your confidence fluctuates from day to day. The intervals, they feel different on different instruments. Progress feels random, and you constantly second guess what you hear. But when your ear is anchored to audiation, to an internal model, the reference begins to become more constant, and eventually it stays constant. Confidence builds over time because it's not dependent on conditions. Intervals feel consistent regardless of timbre. Progress is measurable, and you trust what you hear because you know where it came from. It came from internally. There's a very important thing to gain from this. When you take something internally, you are able to create a more steady sound and a clear container and a clear category with which to put that interval and that sound. So the answer isn't better sound. It isn't a quieter room or a more expensive pair of headphones or a perfectly tuned instrument. The answer is that your ear needs a reference that doesn't depend on any of those things. That reference is audiation, the ability to hear and understand music inside your mind without any external sound present. Audiation doesn't care what room you're in. It doesn't care what instrument you're playing. It doesn't shift when you're tired. It's yours. You build it. And once it's there, it doesn't move. Think about the difference this way. When you rely on sound, you're dependent on the acoustic environment. You're at the mercy of whatever instrument or playback system is in front of you. Your perception degrades when you're fatigued or distracted. You can't recall the sound precisely once it's gone. Now, fundamentally, you're learning to react, not to understand. When you build audiation, all of that inverts. You're independent of the physical instrument. You're consistent across timbres. Your internal model actually strengthens with deliberate practice, and you can recall and manipulate pitch, rhythm, and harmony inside your head. And you're not reacting, you're comprehending. You're thinking in music. Okay, let me show you what I mean. I want you to try something with me right now. If you're wearing headphones, you can keep them on. It'd be better if you took them off if possible, but you can just cover your left or your right ear when I tell you to. So I'm going to guide you through this. With your headphones on, listening as you have been this entire time, listen to this pitch. Now, cover your left ear or remove your left headphone if you can. Now, cover your right ear or remove your right headphone. Do you notice how it was the same pitch, but a different reception? The physical signal reaching your ear was altered, but the note itself hasn't changed. Just notice your perception shift. Your ear reports something different. You know, the pitch feels sharper, warmer, thicker, thinner. It feels more robust. It somehow feels muted, maybe. Even though nothing about the note has changed, you heard a change. It almost sounded like a different note. Now, just turn to the right and listen. I turn to my left, left, right, who knows? Turn to your left. This is my right. Does it change your perception of the pitch? All these things, these are subtle things, but they change your perception of the pitch. Now, audiate the pitch internally. Take this pitch, hear it internally. Try and make it louder, softer. Articulate that pitch strongly with an accent. The pitch stays the same. The internal model doesn't move, not like it does in the external world, because you're creating it. And when you create it, you know you're making a change. If you decide to make it louder or softer with a different instrument, you're aware that you're making that change. But if you're using an external model and it keeps changing on you, then what you are going to do is you're going to get confused. You're going to get lost. How can you possibly learn what a major third sounds like if when we play different major thirds, they actually sound different? You don't have a solid container yet to build recognition in the outside world. Think of it like this. The alphabet. When you're first learning it, you have a very consistent image to go off of. A looks pretty consistent. But as you get better, you don't need to learn all the different variations of A, how somebody out of millions of people might write it differently than you. You can still recognize it as A, because the brain, once it has a stable internal reference, it's pretty good at recognizing the pattern in the outside world. Ear training is the same, but if I gave you 40 different versions of A and said that's what A looks like, you'd get overwhelmed and confused. It's the same thing with ear training. If I keep saying this is a perfect fit, this is a perfect fit, this is a perfect fit, and there's different audio recording, different systems, each time you hear that, it's going to be hard for you to figure out what's actually going on unless you hear something from the outside world and then you take it in externally, because when you take it in externally, you stabilize it. You're able to hear it more consistently. So even if I play a perfect fifth up here and then a perfect fifth down here, dramatically different sound, but when you take it internally, you clarify it, you rinse it, and it helps you to recognize these intervals and all their variations in the real world because you're getting the muted version of it inside. Now, this is not high-level audiation where you can actually hear entire concert sound and things will change, but it is very close to what you need for ear training. The ear was never broken. It was anchored to something that moves. That's the big reveal, and that's what this whole video has been building toward. But there is something very important here that you need to understand, and it's subtle. External sound can change. Whatever app you're using, ear training course, if the instrument changes, if the room changes, if the EQ changes, compression, if the overtones get knocked out, or if more overtones somehow get put into the mix, all of that is okay. What we're trying to express here is that the external world is inconsistent. And if that is your only method of training your ear, if everything's coming from an unstable source, you're not going to develop your ear very well. You need an internal state that is also stable. And for those of you that cannot audiate, singing becomes your next best thing. Because when you sing, you're the one producing the sound, but it comes into all these other issues and difficulties where when you sing, there's so much that affects your voice. So audiation is really the most important thing, because as you take it inward, you create an internal sound in your mind that you're controlling and you're creating. And when you actually create the sound yourself, rather than just responding to it in the external world, it's maybe a little bit ironic, but what happens is that internal perfect model that you created based on your brain creates categories that make it easier to identify things in the outside world. And you don't need more drills, more apps, or more interval training or external sound. You need to build an internal model. That's what I'm getting at here. One you own, one you control, one that stays where you put it. Audiation enhances and in many ways replaces the moving target with something stable. So you always need unstable and stable. And once you understand that, everything about ear training changes. So here's what you know now. 1. Real world sound is physically unstable. It's not a metaphor. Its acoustics, instruments, and your own physiology guarantee that no two listening experiences are identical. 2. Training against unstable input produces unstable results. Your ear mirrors whatever it's anchored to. If the anchor moves, the perception moves with it. 3. Add audiation to the mix, and you get a fixed internal reference. It doesn't depend on rooms, gear, or conditions. It depends on you. And 4. Building audiation is the path to reliable hearing. This is how professional level ears are actually built. Not through more listening, through more thinking in sound. So this changed how you think about your ear. You're ready for the next step. I've built a free audiation course. It's a primer. It is basic stuff. It's not a guided course, but it does walk you through a lot of details, and it starts from the ground and kind of works up, gives you a lot of experiences, and it can be something that's fun to maybe go through in a single day and see what changes about your perception. The link for that is in the description. It's completely free. And if you want to go deeper, everything I teach lives at UreMusic.com. Subscribe, but only if you think this is the kind of thinking that makes music make more sense to you. And I'll see you in the next one.